It's a new week. It's a blank canvas. It's time to tell more football stories, paint football pictures, Galimera, Galispera, Galinichta, no matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be. The legend is back, and it's the big game this week. It's the biggest game this week. Let's rock and roll, squaddies.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Well, he's seen it all, he's won it all, and now he talks about it all on ESPNFC. Welcome back to Squad Central, one of my favourites. I know he riles some of you up, but so be it. Mr. Stevie Nickel, Liverpool legend. Yo!
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. How's it going with you? Did you have a good Christmas and Hogmanay?
Yeah, I was busy. I had all the family, friends, kids, dogs, you name it.
I love it. Brilliant. Well, Happy New Year to you. Thanks for joining us. And you know what? Welcome, squaddies, at ease. I salute you. Don't forget to hit the like button. Listen to our Chief Like Officer, Tammy, as well. And welcome the legend that is Stevie Nickel. Why don't we start off with, before we talk about the big game between our squads, Stevie, the big news on Monday. I mean, is anyone else getting fired? I don't know what's going on in football. But the big news today, of course, was about Amorim getting the can at Manchester United. From a manager point of view and a player point of view, Stevie, and also now as an analyst, that last press conference, did he want out? Make sure he got his severance? What do you make of the Amorim chapter? Can't even call it an era at Manchester United.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's really anything positive you can say about the time that Amorim spent at Man United. To be kind, you can say that they're not any better than when he walked through the door. That's the kindest thing you can say. And so the fact that he's gone, the reason he's gone is because of what he said the other day. And absolutely 100%. I think he wanted a... he basically said, if you want me to stay for the next 18 months, I'll do that till some other geezer comes in, and that's fine. So he really was asking for it. And to be honest, he should have gone at the end of last season. So it's not a surprise. It was only a matter of time. And he's the one that's really initiated it. And I'm sure he's breathing a sigh of relief now. From a coach's point of view, and I think Maresca was in a similar situation. By the sounds of Amorim, he's talking about he wasn't in control of a lot of things that he wanted to be in control of. And if you're coaching anybody and you're going to fail, the only thing you ask is to fail on your terms. Fail by doing it your way, by the decisions you make. And if it doesn't work out, then you can look in the mirror and say, you know what? I gave it my best shot and it didn't work, and it's down to me. And that's fine. But I guess, like Maresca, I think Amorim found himself in a situation where he wasn't in control of things that he needed to be. And when I say that, I'm talking about the football side of it. So, yeah, eventually it catches up with you. And eventually when you're getting sick, every Saturday night, after every game, regardless of whether they won or lost, he was getting pelters from everywhere. Probably getting pelters for the board. He's getting pelters for the fans. He's getting pelters from people like us because that's how bad they were. And so eventually, when it's not all your fault, but you're getting all they can, you're getting everything thrown at you. I think eventually you just have enough of it. And I think he just had enough.
Yeah, that last press conference definitely was indicative that he had enough. His win percentage was the worst of any manager in Manchester United history. I mean, he was the bottom. He broke different kinds of records. But like you said, he was definitely doing it his way, although he learned the hard way. And when you look at Manchester United, this is why sometimes I say to Arsenal fans, as complaining about our owners, I think we should be grateful for the owners that we have. You look at the managerial revolving door since Sir Alex Ferguson has gone, and there's Mourinho, Solskjaer, David Moyes, interim managers, Ten Hag, Van Gaal. I mean, still though, those managers did win something, didn't they? As bad as Ten Hag was. I mean, it was almost like they were better off with him. They were better off with Solskjaer. A little bit like Tottenham right now and Ange Postecoglou versus Thomas Frank, Stevie.
Well, they did, but you also got to look at the playing staff. You know, from when Alex Ferguson left, the quality of the playing staff year after year has gotten worse. And so eventually they were never going to win anything. You know, and you say they were winning trophies. You know, that you're talking about Europa League. You know, I mean, if you've never won anything, that counts for something. If you're Tottenham Hotspur, that's fantastic. You win the Europa League. If you're Manchester United, the Europa League is second rate. And then you start talking about, well, we won the FA Cup or we won the League Cup. They're all second rate. Let's be honest. And can you imagine how much it pains me to say the FA Cup is a second-rate tournament? Because that's what it is. Nobody plays the first team till the semi-final. I mean, it's just so. As I said, I think if there was one thing I would stick up for with Amorim is that the players he had are absolutely not good enough for the standards that are supposed to be at Manchester United. Manchester United, because of what Fergie did, what Busby did, the history of the club, they're still held to that standard. And when you have a squad of players that are not up to that, then it's always going to go badly. Yeah,
well, big news as well, just to get your take on this real quick, you know, from not only, you know, being in the States and also being a Scottish football kind of guy, Wilfred Nancy. And a Rangers fan. Wow. Another sacking. Wilfred Nancy, who I kind of feel for. It's almost like, why did you even take that job? It was just a disaster waiting to happen, Stevie. Another firing, Celtic in a real mess. Our boy Kieran Tierney, who went back there. What a mess.
Yeah. Do you know, I think the biggest mistake that the Celtic board made was him taking over when he did. That's the biggest mistake they made. The game he took over in the top game in the Premier League against the league leaders' Hearts. That was his first game, huge game. His second game was against Roma, where they had no chance of winning, and his third game was a cup final. And so he was kind of set up for failure. Had they waited till after the cup final and then he had gone in, then he would have had more time. The fact that there's 3 huge games, they lost every single one of them, some of them badly. Certainly the cup final wasn't expected. I mean, the guy was buried before he started. 3 games in, every Celtic fan I know was wanting him sacked. And they don't sit in the house and complain, Celtic fans. They're up at Parkhead and they're letting it know. So yeah, I think Nancy's unlucky in some ways. He certainly didn't have any time to implement what he wanted to do. And the board, to think that a new manager, you know, a manager who's taken over from an old school manager, things are going to be a lot different. And so it's such an important period in the season with 3 huge games, one after the other. You bring somebody in to try and talk to players in a different manner than what they've been used to for the last 3 or 4 months. It was just set up to fail, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Well, there's nothing like being a supporter of a stable club, and there's no doubt that your club and our club have that right now. And, you know, it feels like with Amorim and
not
the rest
field.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I thought you might.
It feels like Manchester United, Chelsea, dare I say, were trying to follow the Arsenal Mikel Arteta blueprint. You know, the younger manager effect has been in full swing now for a few seasons, Stevie. And This is why I say Mikel's very lucky that he's had the Cronkies as owners, because he wouldn't be in a job if he was at Chelsea. He wouldn't be in a job if he was at Manchester United because of his start as well. But some say the answer to that is Mikel always felt like there was a roadmap, like he was selling a vision. Whereas with Amorim especially, that wasn't happening. And Maresca, maybe unlucky because he did win the Club World Cup, which a lot of people don't care for, and the European Conference, which you already have, poo-pooed as, nothing of note to write. But is Mikel Arteta the blueprint now, do you think?
Well, in terms of, that's a difficult one to turn around and say yes or no. You can't argue that. Well, that's a tough one, so because the one thing that's happened since Arteta got there is there has been although it was the FA Cup you won in his first season, correct?
Yes.
So although you didn't win a trophy for the next 3 seasons, you could actually see an improvement. I think that's the key. Mm-hmm. The key is that somebody comes in and by the fact that he won that FA Cup, that's the thing that gives him money in the bank for things that in the process, periods that might not be so good. That winning that FA Cup gives him money in the bank, and it gives the board money in the bank to keep a hold of him. But I think the key is that there always seems to have been a little progression every year, every season, because there's no way that your board, and Kroenke in particular, Kroenke is known in this country as the owner of Colorado Rapids who don't spend money. So the fact that he spent money with Arteta and on Arsenal tells you that he thinks there's something there. He can see progress. He can see a future. He can see the development of the team and the club and all of those things. So I think the biggest thing in Arteta's favour is, yes, he knows his onions. He knows what he's talking about. But because of that FA Cup win, I think that's given him the extra time to show everybody that things are going to improve to the point where now he's put himself in the position that he wanted, and that is that he has to win it this year because he's been given everything he's wanted. Everybody's backed him. Everybody's had faith in him. He's taken you to the brink because that's where you are. And right now, he's in the spot he wanted to be in right from the get-go. He wants to be in the position to win the Premier League. And there's no coach alive who doesn't want to be in Arteta's position right now because it's in their hands, 100%. If you don't win the league this year, this is down to you. And I'm talking about Arteta now because he has the squad, he has the depth. He's just got to make good decisions at the right time. And obviously get a little bit of luck with injuries, things like that. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure the blueprint is the right way to put it. But I think the key is that step by step, you've got better and better and better to the point where you're now one of the best teams in Europe, no question.
Yeah, I mean, that FA Cup win feels like a long time ago for some fans, but it did buy him a lot of love coupons, and totally agree. It's undeniable what's been happening. Before we talk about your mob, I do want to get stuck into a little bit more about a theory that I've been professing for the last 4 or 5 weeks. And since we lost to that wonder goal from Szoboszlai at the very beginning of the season, I feel that Mikel Arteta learned a lot from that performance. And that was the period, Stevie, where we were getting heavily criticised for being negative. We're ruining football. Some idiots on TV and influencers talking about how it's the death of football, the way Arsenal play. Meanwhile, in the past, you've had other managers like Conte and Mourinho be lauded for, setting up the way they did and defensively, especially.
The tactical geniuses, it drives me insane.
Yeah. But I think the only difference is while we were given a hard time is because Mikel hasn't won anything and he won't get the respect until he wins something big like those other managers have. But I love blue-collar Arsenal. I am actually really enjoying who we are this season. It feels to me like we're being responsible and we're like a blue collar team that likes to sip a little champagne sometimes. In the last 2 or 3 games, I feel like we've seen that. In the first half, the way we've played, very measured, very pragmatic. And then in the second half, a little bit of the champagne comes out and the cufflinks go on and the blue collar team's left behind. And now you're playing, scoring goals, not from just set pieces. What do you make of the way Mikel's kind of been talked about, the way Arsenal have approached tactically this season? I think it's the blueprint to winning the title, Stevie. I think we're different. We're just different this season. Yeah, now, whether or not that's still going to be the case in April or May, but for now, I feel like we're mentally stronger, we're consistent, and Mikel's kind of learned a few tricks along the way.
So I think there's something happened at the weekend that I think, hopefully you see it the way I do, that backs up what you're talking about. You know, we watched Manchester City yesterday and they lost the goal right at the end against Chelsea. City should have won the game, certainly weren't at the best, but they were better than Chelsea. And O'Reilly, who was playing full-back, makes a horrendous defensive decision against the full-back, the right full-back, Gusto. Horrendous. Mm-hmm. Defensively, just runs at him, goes square on, Gusto walks past him, plays a ball across, and you lose, and you end up dropping 2 points. That would never happen to this Arsenal team, because I'm pretty sure, and I've heard a lot of Arsenal fans that I know have been screaming for Lewis Skelly to play left back because he's better on the ball going forward. But Arteta doesn't do it because he knows that when it comes to defensive duties, and Skelly's already shown, I think it was last season or the season before, getting sent off a couple of times, that defending is not his forte. But you know what? Nkapie, Calafiori, that's where their strength is defensively. And so that's why your back line is so strong. And that thing you're talking about is you're a little different. Well, yeah, because Arteta said, right, we are going to be absolutely rock solid at the back before anything else. And that's a little bit of old school. But then you don't play old school. You pass it around, you keep it. Sometimes you get in a rut where you go backwards too many times. But as you said, you've got ability. You've got Trossard, who's been great this season. You've got Saka wide. I mean, so you've got a little bit of everything, and then you go and buy Eze. So that gives you another part to go forward, who can't even get a game right now. Tells you how strong your squad is. So yeah, I agree with you, and I think that little thing at the weekend where we saw Man City dropping 2 points because they played a guy who's not really a defender in a defensive position because they want to go forward. Whereas Arteta doesn't do that. He wants to make sure that he don't give anything away, and you want to be strong because he plays Calafiori or Nkapie instead of Skelly.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing too, to couple with that, is we've definitely had some serious injuries, players coming back, but Stevie also, speaking as a defender, I think that Big Gabby is currently, if not the best in Europe. He and Saliba, their partnership is, I think, the best for sure. And the other thing too is the mentality to kind of make the massive mistake and let Bournemouth take the lead, but then a few minutes later to show the level of importance that he brings to this team, the bounce back ability, and to get the goal. Talk to me about this guy and how you see him, especially as a former defender. But then I think every fan whoever supports a Premier League fan or even in Europe would choose Big Gabby to be their centre back right now.
I would take him in our team.
Can't have him.
Yeah, I don't think there's an argument that Saliba and Gabby are the best defensive partnership on the planet. I really don't. I don't think there's an argument, not at all. And the greatest thing about the best defenders. Actually, saying that, I should say a bit more about Gabriel. Gabriel, when he first came to Arsenal, had a mistake in him. And it took him a couple of seasons to get rid of that tag, because when you see somebody doing that so often, every time you watch them play and you think about it. But he's number one, got rid of that tag because of what he's doing on the field, and then he's taken a step forward in terms of his leadership, in terms of just his consistency is through the roof, to the point where, as you said, is there anybody else in Europe that you want as a centre back in front of Gabriel? And the answer absolutely 100% would be no. But again, the biggest thing for defenders, I think, is it matters. When it really matters to them, whether they don't win a ball, they don't win a header, they don't win a challenge, no matter what they do, it matters. And so you saw when he made that rotten pass, he didn't crumble, because he knows it matters big time and he's going to make up for it. And that was the only thing in his mind. I've made a mistake. I'm experienced now. I'm matured. I'm not going to let it bother me. I've put my team in a hole. Now I'm going to have to get them out of a hole. I mean, what an attitude. And that's kind of the attitude that Arsenal have right now. But it's the attitude of the best teams, where it matters. Everything matters, regardless of how big. That was a big mistake. But regardless of that, all the small mistakes matter just as much. Because if you eliminate all the wee small mistakes and you avoid the big ones, then you get Gabriel. So, yeah, I mean, he's been fantastic. And obviously, Saliba beside him has just become an incredible partnership.
Yeah, and if we work our way forward a little bit, and also the unsung hero like Jurrien Timber, who doesn't get as many headlines and doesn't get as many plaudits, but my goodness, he has become such an important player in this team. You mentioned Calafiori and Capier stepping in, deputising. Lewis Skelly, has been better the last game he popped in for. But then you look at that midfield, where I felt was always a weak link for us, especially when you have such a great defence the way we do, to have a midfield that can really engineer, control the tempo of a game, Stevie, and a player who Liverpool wanted so badly. And in the end, he came to the Arsenal, and I think has been one of the signings of the season. To me, a player who works in the shadows, and we'll get to his defensive partner in just a little bit. But I wondered if you're more impressed now with Zubimendi. I remember the last time we spoke, you weren't too bothered about Liverpool not signing him, but from what you've seen of him this season, is he not one of the best signings of the summer, for sure?
He's turned out to be absolutely the perfect fit for Arsenal. 100%. Alongside Odegaard and Rice, he is absolutely perfect. He's great on the ball. He's always available. His starting positions are good. You know, I remember talking about him with you and talking about him on our show, and my question was the physicality of the game. Would he be able to adjust to it? Well, it's a little bit like the Jorginho situation when he was at his best. It didn't matter. He was £100 wringing wet, because his starting positions, his reading of the game, his quality on the ball. So the physicality of the game, it doesn't affect Zubimendi, because he's so smart, he's so clever. I hadn't seen that much of him before he came, and that's why I was, obviously, because he plays in the Spanish national team. There's no way that you don't have a good touch and you can pass the ball, because otherwise you're not in the Spanish squad, never mind in the team. It was a physicality I wasn't sure of, but it hasn't come into play, because he's too smart to get involved in it. He understands not to get involved in it, and he uses his brain. And then he uses his feet, and he just fits in my opinion, perfectly. His little piece of the jigsaw, to me, is perfectly Odegaard and Rice.
Yeah.
And actually, before I forget, you were talking about unsung heroes and people that don't get a mention. Raya and Trossard. I mean, Raya is no question one of the best goalkeepers on the planet. And I don't really hear people talking much about him. Yes, he made that incredible save last week, but up until then, nobody really gives him a mention. He's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And Trossard's been the same to me. Trossard is one of those guys that you can't do without. He does a little bit of everything. He helps out his fullback. He gets in a good position defensively. He'll squeeze people, and then going forward, he comes up with goals and assists. So, just when you were talking about the unsung heroes, I think those two should be mentioned as well, because others do get a lot more of the limelight, shall we say? But the two of them are just as important as everybody else.
I couldn't agree with you more. And we wax. I have never been happier to be wrong about a transfer. And mostly for me, it was the manner in which it was done versus having an issue with a goalkeeper like David Raya coming in. Yeah, but my God, he is, and I love Aaron Ramsdale, but he is levels above Aaron Ramsdale as a goalkeeper. And he that comment where Aaron made to Ian Wright about not being able to stay focused for an entire game. David Raya, at times, you've seen the stats this season in terms of the amount of shots on goal that we've allowed. And then to come up that big in a game, Stevie, and be able to make those types of saves, the way he comes for corners. I'm so happy that you mentioned him in particular, because he's just, he's been phenomenal, and like you said, not had to do too much, but what he's done has really helped us save points.
Yeah, I mean, again, there are so many things that people talk about, the so-called modern game, but there are also many, many things that were around in the early 1900s that are still as important today, and that's one of them, having a goalkeeper in a very top team who's going to keep the ball or have the ball for the majority of the game, but having a goalkeeper who, having perceived not to be in the game whatsoever, can produce a save just from nowhere. And there's no question that's what you've got in Raya.
For sure. And Trossard, again, has just been... A while ago, we were saying on our show that, and a good friend of the show, Tom Canton, was talking about this with us too about a year ago, saying that he's our best finisher, our most clinical finisher. And when you see, for me, Martinelli's more of a super sub. I remember in some of our conversations 2 or 3 seasons ago, Stevie, you said that if you saw Saka and Martinelli on a team sheet, you'd be really worried with the Liverpool game coming up. Well, yeah. Trossard got his pay rise, but didn't get an extended contract, but the way he's playing this season is just levels above anything we've seen. And as a January signing goes in the transfer market, when we were getting ready to shell out maybe 90 million on, Mykhailo Mudryk, and you end up with Trossard, who was a snip of just a bargain signing. He's so good.
Yeah. No, you've. Sometimes those little things work out in your favour, on the face of it, Mudryk or Trossard, and I think most people would probably have said Mudryk, but it has worked out the other way. And there's no question that Trossard has taken a step forward the longer he's been at Arsenal, whereas Martinelli from that season, 3 years ago when he had 15 goals and assists, he has taken a step back, and I do agree he probably is a great guy to have coming off the bench as a super sub, and that's just kind of where he is now, and that's probably a lot down to him, but a big piece of that is because of what Trossard's doing.
Stevie, last season when we spoke, I brought up the midfield. I felt like last season when we played, it felt that the game was going to be won and lost in midfield. And you talked about Zubi and Odegaard and Rice and how Zubi's just come in and complemented these guys. Your midfielders seemed fragile a little bit this season. Maybe that's because, Szoboszlai's been played out of position a lot. We'll get to that in just a second. But I need to get your take on... What are you laughing at?
Well, I'm laughing how you're saying the midfield's fragile.
Well, we'll get to the...
What you should have said was the back, the middle and the front is fragile. That's what you should have said.
Oh, I love it. It's so nice to watch. But Declan Rice, is he the best midfielder in the world right now? I mean, people talking about Ballon d'Or type season. You need to win a big trophy to get the Ballon d'Or. We all know that. I mean, he could win a World Cup with England. Just dropped my pen. Sorry about that, everybody.
Oh,
how do you rate Declan?
If you're picking a world 11 today, then you're putting him in it. Let's put it that way. Who's ahead of him? If you're going to play a midfield three, who's ahead of Declan Rice? I mean, that's a tough one.
I don't think anyone at this point.
You know, people will argue. You look at somebody like Pedri.
He's class, Pedri.
He's class, but would he be able to, he wouldn't be able to do what Rice does in the Premier League. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah. No, and I mean, also there's the whole how are you evaluating and what you're playing him as? Are you playing him as an 8? Are you playing him as a 6? I mean, he played right back the other day. To me, he just seems like the type of footballer that he could play in any position. He's that talented. He's just a great footballer. And he will be the difference between, I think he's become probably top 3. He's our most important player. So you've got Big Gabby, you've got Declan, you've got Saka. And then you feel bad. I feel bad for leaving players out because I feel like they're all important. But Declan's risen to a whole other level this season. He would start for Liverpool like week in, week out right now.
Yeah, he'd start for anybody. He'd start for Real Madrid. He'd start for Barcelona. He'd start for anybody. No question. And you're again, Arsenal fans, it's very easy to forget, but you should be grateful that the 3 you have right now they so complement each other. It's frightening. You know, Zubimendi is the guy who should sit. You've got Odegaard, get him on the ball and try and, particularly in the final third, look for those little passes and those little angles that nobody else sees. And then you've got Rice, who can do both. He can get forward, he can get in the box, but he can also defend as well. So, it's such a great compliment you've got with the 3 of them. They all bring a different thing, but it's all at an incredible level. And it all knits in together really smoothly. They cover for each other. If Declan disappears, you've got Zubimendi covering in for him. Same the other way around. The odd time Zubimendi pops up, who's at the back chasing down the counter attack? It's your boy Rice taking it in the guts as he did last weekend from a shot. I mean, they just complement each other so well. And then you've got the problem of how do you get Eze in the team? Because Odegaard for me in the last, since he come back from that shoulder injury, has been back to his best, and you can't drop Trossard. So I'm assuming that's why Eze doesn't get a game right now.
Yeah, and he's going to have to grind his way back into the side. There's no doubt about it. And take his chances when he's had 2 seminal moments. I say this, it's the North London Derby hat-trick, the game against Crystal Palace, and the pass to Gabby Martinelli for the Man City equaliser. That was really important too. But I feel like Noni Madueke's taking his chances a lot more when he comes on and consistently does so versus Eze, who I think still is going to play a massive part in this side. Right, so Stevie, new signings for you.
Here we go. There's the elephant in the room.
I saved the best till last. Yeah. Your signings versus our signings. What's gone wrong for Liverpool this season?
Listen, our signings have made Gyökeres look like Pele. Let's be honest. Maybe that's a little hard. Maybe that's a little harsh on Ekitike, but yeah, I think I've been a bit harsh on Ekitike.
He's been solid.
Certainly in terms of Verts and Isak, Yeah, Gyökeres looks like a superstar compared to those two.
But hold on a second. Do you think Gyökeres? I haven't seen you guys the last couple of weeks. Do you think? Don't you think Gyökeres is contributing to this team? He's not scoring goals, but Mikel's not a fool. We wouldn't be playing him every week. He'd be playing Mikel Merino up there if he felt like he was a donkey. Don't you feel like he's been given a little bit of a harder time considering the impact he's having in games?
I have to confess, I was sticking up for Gyökeres at the start of the season. Give him time and this and that. And I mean, let's be honest. You didn't buy him. I heard somebody talking about him the other day, and they said, "Oh, the work he does off the ball." And then the answer to that was, "Well, you didn't buy him for his work off the ball. You bought him to score goals." So it depends. It depends which way you want to look at it. Are you telling me that Jesus' work off the ball wasn't great? Are you telling me that Havertz's work off the ball wasn't great? Or even Moreno when he played, when Havertz got injured, you telling me his work off the ball wasn't great? You didn't go and spend that money on Gyökeres because of his work off the ball. You signed him because you felt that you would get more goals that you weren't getting from Havertz or Moreno. And certainly Jesus, who's unfortunately been injured for, majority of the last 2 years. Yeah. So does he work hard? Yes, he works hard. Why did you sign him? Not to work hard. You signed him to score goals. But
the adaptability, Stevie, is what I think Liverpool have lacked. So, for example, Gyökeres half the price of Isak. I mean, that's a big bust right now, right? Wirtz has gotten 2 goals in his last 3. Again, double the price of Gyökeres. I'm not saying that Gyökeres is going to be better than both of them in the league, but in terms of ROI, Ekitike definitely, I think, has been your best signing. And in terms of ROI, Gyökeres is our top scorer, 5 goals. People can make of that what they wish. We score goals by committee. We've kind of gone back to the 22-23 season. The way Mikel plays, how he's adapted Gyökeres into this side. A good friend of mine of the show, Kenny Ken, has called him a professional decoy. It's an expensive one, but Mikel may have figured out, well, here's how we can play with this guy. And just before that pass goes from Odegaard to Rice for the first goal, if you look at a still image, I don't have it with me today, but there's like 4 defenders around Gyökeres. So it's almost like, I agree, that's not why we bought him to begin with, but he could be another reason why we have another level or layer towards this title push in a totally different way.
Well, I think you're being kind. I think you're looking. I think you're being kind. I think you're being kind. As I said, I mean, you're telling me that Jesus and Havertz and other guys didn't do things off the ball to take defenders away and create openings. You signed them to score goals. You signed them to put teams away. As good as you are, there have been too many occasions, in my opinion, that you've made it difficult for yourself by not putting teams away.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
And I think that was one of the problems and one of the reasons why last year you didn't win the title, because on too many occasions you didn't put teams away, and all of a sudden they would get an equaliser from nowhere against a run of play or a deflection or something. That's the reason I think you didn't win the league last year. And so you buy that guy to do that. So I think you're just being really, really kind to him. At the end of the day, 5 goals in 19, 20 games. That's 1 in 4, 1 in 5. That's not why you sign a centre forward for 65 mil.
Yeah, we tend to concede as well when he goes off. We get a little the defensive balls.
I think you've got to look at recently. You've had a lot of changes in your back line, and that's again you need a lot in terms of suspensions or injuries that. And I don't think enough people give enough credit that having a settled back line makes a huge difference. And the difference it makes is that exactly what somebody's going to do. You know where their weaknesses are. You know what they're thinking. You know where they're going to be. There's so many positives to having a settled back line that you had, that when it changes, you do lose goals. Any team does, and you did. But the fact is you've got Gabriel and Saliba back. I think that's going to make a huge difference in terms of goals that you concede.
Totally agree with that. So has Arne Slot's stock gone down this season? Do you blame him? I mean, you've had some injuries too, but you've also been so poor, really just bad. And yesterday, what a stinger against Fulham. My goodness. Woo, that must have hurt. I mean, has his stock gone down, Stevie, for you?
Yeah, I think, there's no question. You know, you got to look at the face of it. I mean, right now, we're a bit of a, for the side that's sitting in the Champions League spot, we're a bit of a shambles, let's be honest. And the injuries don't help. I mean, the fact that we had Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones as two of our attacking wide players at the weekend tells you that the injuries are bad. But the only argument to that is that even when we had a full squad, we were still playing the same way. so that has to be down partly to the players, but to the coach. At the end of the day, the coach has to put the team on the field in order to play a certain way, with the way he wants to play, and he's responsible for that. And it just hasn't happened since a ball's been kicked. So I mean, his stock clearly has gone down, but that's not unusual. When you go from dominating the league and winning it to struggling, your stock's going to go down. It's a little bit like Areola at Bournemouth. You know, if he had moved on, 2 months into the season, he could have gone to Real Madrid. But now Bournemouth haven't won a game in 11. So the stock goes down with the results. There's no question about that. And it goes down even more when the team that you're coaching plays the way it is. That doesn't help either.
Do you think if we beat you on Thursday and if we beat Man City at the Etihad, or we win the title, what do you expect? Well, before you answer that, what are your expectations for the game on Thursday?
I'll take a draw now. I will take your hand off for a draw. We're not combining going forward in terms of the final third. There's no really any good combination play. We're not creating many chances at all. We're certainly not dominating many teams in the middle of the park. And defensively, we're letting goals in for fun. So, we're playing against the best team in the league, a team that you know exactly what you're going to get from at least 10 of the 11. Whereas Liverpool right now, I don't think there's a player in our team right now that you know exactly you're going to get the best from. So, I would take your hand off in a heartbeat for a point right now.
Any chance Arsenal can do the quadruple?
No.
Which one are we going to win if we're going to win any? Stevie?
Premier League. The Premier League's used to lose. You absolutely are the strongest team in the Premier League. You got the best defence. You've got. I mean, who replaces your middle three? Of all the other teams in the Premier League in the middle of the park, who replaces your middle three? I wouldn't swap Caicedo for Zubimendi or Rice. And people tell me that Caicedo's been fantastic. I wouldn't swap him for any of you boys. Mm-hmm. I mean, really. So you're strong in the middle, and
Rodri's off the boil.
Sorry,
Rodri's off the boil. Those.
Yeah, I mean, he's not fit yet. He's not 100% yet. So I mean, you got Saka. Madueke puts the fear of life into defenders because he's so direct, and it's fantastic to see. It doesn't always work out, but I tell you what, you ask any fullback playing against somebody like him, they hate it. Hate every second of it. We've been talking about how good Trossard is on the other side. So, you've kind of got that thing down the middle. But now you've got choices. Everybody's getting fit.
I love it. I'm going to get you out on this one. And you made that tea. It's gone cold. You haven't even had a sip. Have a sip of tea. Don't be shy, Stevie. Isn't it good for football if Arsenal win the title?
I don't see it that way myself. I think it's good that the best team wins the league. I've always been a believer that it's good for football when the best team wins.
Were Leicester the best team that season? You could argue Tottenham were actually. I mean, I don't know. We crept up at the end there, but isn't it good for the purity? As a Liverpool fan, Liverpool fans, Stevie, Liverpool fans.
I don't think the Leicester one counts
because it's an anomaly.
Yeah. Listen, you can go through anything, everything in the world. There's always an anomaly. I don't think you can count that one. I just like that the best team wins, and it was the same with Bayern. Bayern won 10 in a trot, but Bayern were the best team. And then the year they didn't win it was because Leverkusen were the best team, and Leverkusen went on to. I like the best teams. I could sit and watch the best teams playing. I don't want to watch a 5-4 with two bad teams, anything like that. I like watching Arsenal's back four being solid the way it is and the way they defend and all the things they do. And I like Saka scoring goals, and I like watching good football. So I like the best team to win, and right now, in my opinion, the best team is Arsenal. And so I have no problem. I'm not really a proposal of it's better if it's shifted around year after year. Liverpool were the best team last year, and they deserve to win it, and I'm glad they did. But so yeah, I like the best teams to show us they're the best.
I find it hard to believe that Liverpool fans would want or root for City, and just because of Liverpool and Arsenal have supposedly been the purity of football. Well, listen, spoken like a true defender, by the way. I love it. Thank you so much for your time. You can watch Stevie at ESPNFC. Absolute legend, always gives us his time, and we appreciate you. I'm going to let you go and do some housekeeping bits. I've kept you a little bit.
Can I stay here?
Do you want to stay with me? Stick with me.
Please, I prefer that.
You're the funniest. Appreciate you. Thank you. And say hi to Mr. Burley for me, will you?
Yeah, I'll try and cheer him up. Why?
Yeah, he owes us a visit. Yeah,
all right.
For sure. Yeah. All right. Well, that's Stevie Nickel. Thanks so much to him for coming and hanging out with us, squaddies. A much different take on the Arsenal from Stevie this time around. But brilliant stuff. Make sure you watch ESPN FC. Those guys are great, and we really appreciate him very much for making time. We appreciate you for hanging out. Thank you so much for making us part of your day. And we will be back at Squad Central. Look out for the next live show on the community page. Don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them at eSquaddies at ease. And we'll see you soon.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Love you guys. Thanks a lot, as always, for your support. Means the world. Let's go.